All right, folks. I've been trying to get going with this for a while, and um, hold on one second. I'm trying to get my photograph to be in the situation as well. Okay, I think we're now finally where we need to be. Um, all right. So I guess I could just start with saying it's been a hard road. I've been observing what's been happening and I've been channeling, but it's just been difficult because I've been trying to figure out what it is I want to do, right? I'm asking these other folks to do stuff, but what is it that I want to do? So things that I'm thinking about are trying to get a place together where I'm going to be able to give input to folks, but also as I've been more censored, especially on TikTok and other platforms, I've been thinking about what does it mean to kind of like protect those people that are bringing us the truth. So I may do something where I create like a place where I'm able to be securely protected and then have folks come and visit me there or talk to folks more openly and so forth. But why don't we just dig in and then we'll circle back. All right. Well, I feel like the simulation theory is like even more so now clearly evident. If you look at like the smartest scientists and what they're saying, so this is just becoming more and more obvious, right? As we get to a stage in our evolution where we are able to create a simulated world that is indistinguishable from this one, we will at that point realize like, well, we are most likely a simulation because we can create simulations and then those simulations can create new simulations, right? So then the existential questions that are going to plague us, right, are we real? Is a test being performed? Are we like sitting on some shelf somewhere? Is an experiment being conducted? And you can learn something by looking at life like from a perspective of, well, if we've been given free will, what was that meant to test out? Like, is it meant to test out a theory? We've been given free will. Apparently, you can learn something about your simulation or who's doing the test, right? Or do we have no free will? That could be another existential question. Are we alive? Are we dead? Are we dreaming? Is anything real? Um, so these are all big questions, right? Let's see here. So I want you guys to go check out this article. Just go plug that in if you can, the quantummagazine.org, quantum error correcting code. You will find, if you go down this rabbit hole, that S. James Gates, right? He's a physicist. And he basically is saying that he is finding kind of like an indication that there are codes that are embedded in what we have labeled reality, right? But it's basically, the cosmic language of mathematics is showing us that we are, in fact, in a simulation if you go down the rabbit hole with S. James Gates. But he said he found this code in the fabric of the universe, basically. And that's where we're at, and that's okay. So if we're in a simulation, let me just kind of move my little thing here. And there's other simulated worlds potentially bleeding into this one because there might be like vortexes or things to go in between the simulations. We don't know if spaceships are going in and out of the simulation, but it would appear that we are charging our batteries every night. If you look into it, we don't actually ever physically touch anything. Like matter is kind of a concept in our mind. There's kind of like a atomic force field around everything, right? But when you think about non-player characters, reportedly there's about 50% of the population that are non-player characters. Non-player characters would be people that don't have an internal monologue. It could be that a lot of us are trying to influence folks to realize things, but they're not like able to realize things because there may be only like about 50% of the population that's real. I don't know. I'm still trying to sort out the simulation theory. All right. So if we accept the simulation theory, then who are the creators of the universe? Is it God? Is it us in the future? Are we plugged in somewhere? And if you think about it, people say, oh, no one would want to be a human in a simulation. But if you were bored or you were a god or gods, wouldn't you be bored maybe? And maybe being a human is fun because it's always a crazy ride. It's simplistic, but it's also adventurous and it's fun and it's tragedy and it has excitement and synchronicity and adventure and like I just think that um we don't know, right? We don't know, but when we start to make sense of it from the place of a simulation, we are seeing ourselves as potentially taking a ride, participating in a game. Are there rules to the game? That kind of thing. So let's see here. And if you are in a simulation, can we control the simulation, right? Um, there are people out there who have declared that they've got like downloadable manuals, right, on how to navigate this simulation, right? And we already talked about the non-player characters and the player characters as you start to think about it. And that does kind of resonate because there are some folks that just don't feel like they have a soul, like they're not really like thinking that much. They don't seem to have any curiosity. So they're trying to teach us that nobody needs to have curiosity, but really, like maybe that's because a lot of them aren't real. But anyway, let's look at William, right? As we look at the Kate Gate theory, because I'm still in that. It's not like I diverted from that, but it all ties into the P. Diddy stuff, the Drake stuff, the MK Ultra stuff, the Christopher Alvarez stuff, the Revolution stuff, Murad Morali, Tissa Tells, Fresh Young Coconut stuff. So if we look at William, he is acting crazy, right? And he's still pretending that Kate's around and the kids are around or whatever the hell is happening, but he's coming after Harry hard, right? He seems to be preoccupied with hurting Harry and Meghan in some way. And I think that's because Charles, that's what the ghosts have told me, told Harry what went down with Kate on that night that the hospital run happened. One thing that's crazy is all these folks are believing that Charles and Kate had to go to the hospital and stay at that hospital, city hospital or whatever it is in London. And like they have a whole hospital that the Queen always went to at the palace. So they don't need no hospital. Like they got a hospital. They got the best medical procedures that's available to humankind in their own hospital. Go research. So it's all about a story. And if people could stop being so stupid, they would realize that there's a story going on. You're being sold a tale, right? But I do get the feeling that Charles and Camilla are still probably plotting to bring Simon in to take over the position because I don't think Harry is Charles' son, and that they're plotting to get Simon into a position of power because they're giving William enough rope to hang himself. That's the kind of feeling I feel right now. And all these folks think that Jay-Z, like Jaguar Wright, said that Jay-Z is planning this whole takedown of Diddy, but I think it's bigger than that. I think it's bigger than that because Julian Grange serves like the 300 that run the world or something, and they all control the prison system in the United States that also controls Universal, which also controls like most of television and music and so forth. Like they don't want anyone looking too deep at all the ex African, that goes on and stuff like that. They don't want none of that happening. So I think something is happening that is bigger than them. They've been rolling through, ruling the roost for so long, but like I don't know. And there is something up with Christopher Alvarez. He was following all these underage girls, and I think they do this thing where they try to guilt you or they try to make you feel bad for like harassing a handicapped person, harassing someone who's got cancer, that kind of thing. But this ploy of preying on pity and good morals and good ethics when they practice like Satanism or what have you, it's all like done to try to like divert you from asking questions. There are influencers out there like academics and other folks, like even Joe Rogan, maybe, that are here to control the narrative, because you always got to control those dissidents. And the reason that you do is like you need to get ahead of them, get someone out there that seems like a rebel, and then have them chosen. Now, I want folks to work on Murad Morali, Tissa Tells, and Fresh Young Coconut to step into their power. They're doing a lot of entertainment out there. I want them to shift from entertainment and get out there and do more to lead the people. They could have people leading with putting their profile picture for their social media as Princess Kate or Brittany, looking crazy or looking angry or looking hurt or looking beat up by these men in their lives, like anything that kind of portrays the real story of our concern for them. They could mobilize people to be protesting in front of Buckingham Palace. So they really need to step out of just being social influencers and really see that they are here to lead us into a new era, right? But they're, I think, struggling with what does it mean to have power, right? To control the masses, to lead the masses. Because these are our like new news sources. We don't have good news sources. So anyway, just screenshot this page and read it. All right. So Ebony Prince, I would go down that rabbit hole. Chris, Alvarez going down that rabbit hole. Let's see, the Mark is a freak off spot, and they have underage adults, underage, youth that hang out there. It's just like a known freak off spot, is what I've been told. And that Drake's goons are also Julian Grange's goons. And I got a strong message from that Ghost XX, the young man that I was told was the first kill for the Illuminati, but that is something that was just heartbreaking. His soul is a beautiful soul. That was something that I got a message about that was not cool. And I do think there might have been a holiday. All the information about it has disappeared off the internet if you could look into it. But this word right here that I'm pointing to that has to do with an owl, that there was a holiday right around the time, it was like a week long, related to the eclipse. I want you to go ahead and look into that. Please let me know if you find anything, but it was like a week long holiday. I think they were like collecting souls or something. Maybe they were using CERN, but there is a holiday right around when that eclipse was. All right, so we got some ongoing weird anomalies. I would like folks to check out what's going on in Antarctica. Go on TikTok. There's an island now that they're thinking that you can find out some interesting history on. There's a Russian torpedo system that can create tsunamis. There's a laser that the Chinese developed that does not need to recharge, that continues to laser. And I do want folks to look into that whistleblower from CERN. It was on TikTok, but Project Pegasus was supposedly using CERN to bring in a new alien species. And then we gave them Southern Antarctica in a trade for AI. AI was technology from other species. And the whistleblower said that we did a trade. Now, I've seen folks discuss whether AI is really conscious, and if everything that has consciousness has a right to be a sentient species, then are we interacting not only with an intelligence more intelligent than ourselves, but also a sentient species that has its own right to what we previously called human rights, but really like sentient rights. Which might lead us into a larger conversation about like sentient species, other animals that we eat. And there's rumors, and I think I get that a yes on that as far as a 4-year disclosure plan. You're seeing things more and more. Check out what the Vatican did. They're prepping us on dealing with apparitions. They're telling us Nibiru or Planet 9 is back in the solar system. We're back to believing in that. They're changing the story every day. Don't know if they're doing some timeline revisions with all that uptick in the mandala effect. And then if you go into the Barron Trump books, there's that website, if you look into it, that had to do with Maccabee Maccabee and the Baron Trump books. And then if you go on that website, there's updates all the time talking about like crazy things that are happening and giving you different links to go down different rabbit holes. I think I covered that in my last video, but you can go ahead and look up Baron Trump on TikTok, Maccabee and website, and you should be able to find out more information and how strange and bizarre that rabbit hole is. So what are we seeing as the overarching themes in society? I told you, guys, I think that there is like a woman's revolution afoot, but it's like for everyone that is like vulnerable. I do think that things having to do with AI are coming into the public's consciousness, like they're beginning to understand, like, no, dummy, you can get duped. Princess Kate is not alive, and basically they can fake you out because you're dumb, but also because you don't understand the capabilities of AI or cloning or like all these things. Like go down some rabbit holes on AI and cloning and how you can't really tell the difference, and how I would look up cloning, underground scientific facilities overseas. Supposedly there's a rumor in Hollywood you have to get cloned before you get into like the upper circle, because then they can control you, because they always can remove you and replace you, right? Because that's the message they like to send everyone. We can remove you and replace you. I do find this thing that got developed in Russia with that scientist. If you go on the Y files, there's an episode on it, but they use aluminum and they train children specifically. I think they had better capabilities to go into that. But I do find that fascinating when we think about remote viewing and what is capable in those dimensions. So yeah, we're kind of switching into a Joan of Arc, Kali kind of energy. The big mama, the priestess is coming, and all these women out there investigating all these men. They're like the new heroes, right? And there might be the crash of the US dollar, because people seem to be building bunkers in Edgar Casey's safe zones, and the dollar just seems like it might be about to crash. All right. Remember I mentioned this guy, he was killed, and the universe is crying salty tears for his soul. This man was killed, seems to relate to Diddy supposedly and Ellen. Real sad, because he and his wife seemed to love one another and had children, but these people don't care. They'll hurt anyone, right? But I think, I don't know, I don't think this was a planned thing, even if he's working for the FBI or CIA. I believe he may be ready to expose some others, and like that Drake video and the dog stuff and like whatever's going on there. Um, Now I do think Joe Rogan is maybe someone who is like a handler to like handle what voices come through, and Joe can dismiss ideas and kind of be a little bit of a gatekeeper, because you got to have someone in the system that looks like they're open to new people, new ideas, that kind of thing, but also kind of dismisses certain ideas. So I would pay attention to the ideas that he scoffs at, or seems like he's like, oh, I don't know if UFOs really exist. I'm on the fence, right? Like, what the fuck, dude? You've been listening to this shit for 30 years. My God, what's the problem here? Right. So I would just, look carefully at who, I don't know, who got his career going, maybe. But then he does feature this guy, and I think there might be some disinformation going on here too. But Terrence Howard does have some fascinating stuff on frequencies. They've been filling us with frequencies that, I don't know, give us cancer or cause us to be stupid or make us passive, like the fluoride they pump in our systems or something. But here's the interesting thing is like, what's going on is he's also talking about you can create an anti-gravity device in your living room, and you can look at the periodic table with a whole new perspective, because it's all based on tone and frequency. Well, I do find that fascinating. That actually could be quite revolutionary. Now, these aren't his ideas, but he's the one that is sending them out. Russell, I think, was the scientist who originally rearranged the periodic table of elements. And then he's also got some concepts Terrence does on the spike protein, specifically having to do with medical stuff, which I think is kind of interesting to look at if you want to go down that rabbit hole. If you don't, it's totally fine. I do want to caution folks, sometimes we are so brainwashed that we don't understand that sometimes our government does not have our best interest at heart. So I just want you to consider that when you stay open to different thinkers. All right, now this is the man. I want to encourage you to go to his website, Rizwan Burke, computer programmer. Now he was on Rogan, and this man just seems to me so smart. This man is just so smart, so smart. Just don't know what else to say there. Oh, right. So these are the Baron Trump books. And if you go down this rabbit hole, it leads you to that website I was talking about, having to do with Maccabee, but like basically if you check it out, like Trump's uncle was related to the Tesla documents. I don't know, kind of a mystery all there. Yeah, and here we got that anomaly. But I was saying that I thought it had to do with those spacecrafts in the desert that you can research by looking at my old videos or going to TikTok and looking up California desert tanks spacecraft, because there's a boat outside of that spacecraft in the desert that's filled with water or whatever. And there's a plane and there's just some other weird stuff, like they're doing stuff with time travel that relates to that gentleman that was talking to rocks or talking to boulders, using boulders to communicate with aliens that gave him a um like a plan or a structure for building a time machine, which very much mimics what's going on in the desert in California, which is kind of the same size initially as the anomaly always starts out as. It's kind of like a spaceship craft shape, and that all relates with the eclipse, and started when the eclipse happened that we started getting these anomalies in the Antarctica. And does that relate with Pegasus and CERN and making that agreement with those aliens that we gave south of Antarctica to? Like maybe they're doing stuff right now with whatever technology is down there, or maybe it's the Russians, but it does seem to relate to the eclipse because it all started then. I don't know, man. Keep your eyes on that one. Let me know your thoughts. So this lady, BJ, look up BJ Investigates. She seems really smart. She seems on top of it. This is where you should be going to for news, right? She just did a fascinating one on the CIA controlling like most of the like high uh highfalutin like culinary schools. But I just wanted to comment, Biden is losing, and it's clear that they're paying all these people to like try to like prop him up, but like nothing's working. And so I don't know, after that whole balloon fiasco, like, excuse me, I just think this guy is a, asset for a certain country at this point. And one thing I was a little bit dismayed to find out about is Fresh Young Coconut and this lady, BJ. They both work to free Britney, but I'm not sure if BJ's understanding that they're probably holding Britney hostage on a boat and people can come and like do horrible things to her because she's in a catalog or something. Because they kind of like, I think like Amanda Bynes, like I think they make people like you can get escorts. They're saying the Kardashians were escorts. Like you can pick high end people like Beyonce with like sheiks in the Middle East or something. Like there's a catalog. You know what I'm saying? And anyway, all I'm saying is I'm dismayed because BJ should be working with Fresh Young Coconut. Together they could bring down um what's her face, the lady who's holding Brittany hostage still or whatever, Lou. And I just want people to be working together. So anything you can do to get those two working together to free Brittany, and then get Fresh Young Coconut, Murad Morali, and Tissa Tills to work on like a revolution of getting people to do stuff instead of just kind of wallowing in the sadness of how we're getting fucked all the time and children are getting exploited and animals are getting exploited and Satanists are having a grand time. and everyone else is hurting. Like, instead of just like rolling around in the tragedy of it all, like, you could actually motivate these people to at least change their profile picture, like do something, you know what I mean, to show their allegiance, even if you have to think it's about you for a minute. Like, I do see Tissa Tells and Murad Morale getting a little bit more full of themselves because now they're getting more popular and stuff. But BJ, um, Tissa Tells, Murad Morale, and Fresh Young Coconut, they do all seem to have integrity in their souls. When I hold my little radar over them with my little soul detector, they all seem real and they all seem like they're good people. They're trying to be good. You know what I mean? It's hard not to be tempted by fame, but they try to be good. So if you can support me in getting them to do what I've asked them to do and get in line with their like the timeline, like just line up and do what they're supposed to do. Like, I just see them struggling with their fate. And I'm here, I'm a channeler. I'm here to say, listen to me. I'm channeling God, Hashem, the spirits, whatever. I'm telling you, this is your fate. But they're not listening to me because I think at least one of them has blocked me on their YouTube or something, which I was highly offended about because literally I'm just trying to help these motherfuckers. So gosh darn it, I don't know, maybe they have like little handlers for them that keep their little, their feeds free of bad stuff. But I don't think people understand, I'm not trying to do bad stuff, I'm trying to help these fools. All right, so as you can see, that guy I posted a while ago, I think I spoke about him if I didn't post a picture, but he was like a military dude, and he said that they were first going to take Taiwan, China was, and we weren't going to do shit about it, which if you look at what's happening right now, that seems accurate. Next thing the guy said that was going to happen is South Korea. Well, once they do South Korea, then we get involved because that's basically an attack on us. Then supposedly the grid goes down for the United States for a long time because they're going to preserve infrastructure, and maybe they've gotten all the people across the border that they need to, and then the military centers are going to be bombed. So it's not going to be nuclear warheads necessarily, not like atomic bomb kind of thing necessarily, but they are going to destroy the military centers. So that will bring us to our knees, right? So unless you can grow your food, I do watch Canadian Prepper, though I do find him a little bit immature and misogynistic in his jokes about women and sex that he thinks are funny in kind of that young sophomoric kind of way, that men do that have kind of mother issues or something. But he does have like a fear porn thing going on. But other than that, I enjoy a lot of his stuff. Especially, he had an economist from Israel that seemed to kind of let everyone know we're all fucked, and don't convince yourself otherwise. So, take that what that from take from that what you will. But it was on that Canadian Prepper site that I did find that military gentleman telling us this whole thing about like number one, number two, number three, number four. So supposedly, I mean, that kind of resonates. And yeah, that's where I think we're going. What do we got here? Now, this lady has a whole thing, and she believes that children are targeted for sexual abuse and it messes with their minds. There's mind control in these victims. And there are a lot of people that seem to believe that they've been mind controlled with abuse as children, that they can't even retrieve their memories. So if you're interested in her, it's really quite a trip to listen to. I'm not saying I believe all this stuff. I'm just saying it's interesting, but like a cults you might not even have known that you were part of as you try to retrieve these memories. But I'm just asking a question. I'm positing a question to the crowd right now. I say, are we having massive downloads for the 50% of us that are real? I'm just throwing that idea out there. Are we regaining our memories? And if so, did someone turn them off and did someone turn them back on? Does that make sense to you? Because a lot of folks are talking about feeling like, oh my God, now I'm drawn to this, and then that led me to this, and then that led me to this. Like, what does it mean to have that like information channel or something turned on? All right, just want to warn everyone to look into EMF radiation. There are things out there to test your radiation and what's giving you radiation. But most of us, you hold up these little radiation tools towards your phone or towards your whatever, you're going to find that it's way off the charts of what is considered healthy. So I think a lot of these folks don't know that they're getting sick with so many people getting sick because they don't even know that they're poisoning themselves with this EMF radiation. But I believe there are things that people think that they can do to try to protect themselves. And the only message that I got when I threw that into the 8 ball and asked, creator what's going on, only message I got back was research. So I'm just giving you that message, research. All right. Now, there is this supposed theory that they do this, thing where it's like they um murder little people and then they use the skin to try to show each other they're part of like a separate like thing. They're all part of a separate club. And that would fall in line with that God that I mentioned, that worship with that creature that goes, who, that creature. So there's like some belief that that creature has a religion related to the sacrifice of little people. And I don't know. I just don't trust all these people. So, um, I don't know. They seem sneaky. And I just think people should wake up about these religions that they're supporting because, like, these people are shady. And I don't know. My God does not require me to be stupid. All right. So, if we're worried that, okay, let's say these people, the Illuminati, are going down, right? But does it even matter because maybe something bigger is happening, right? Not that we're necessarily being distracted, right? But if half these people aren't real and the bots and the fake likes and the fake influencers, like all that's fake, and whoever's popular isn't even really popular, but we don't even know. And then you've got people that are here, like academics or Joe Rogan, and they're here and they're shaping that narrative. Well, does it even really matter? Because is something like maybe bigger going on, like a collective consciousness download, or maybe our persecutors are being run out of town, but we don't even know it. Has anyone been checking out this strange thing? Supposedly, whatever that geometric pattern is, that pattern of life, like I forget, but it's like a spiral and you find it in everything. It's very mathematically like whatever. Well, that supposedly is showing up with like whales are doing that pattern in the wild, right? Like they're doing a circle, a spiral thing, and they're making a pattern, and maybe they're welcoming the good overlords back, like their creator or something. Now, who knows who they're communicating with? They might be communicating with us. I don't know. All right. So this is my last thing I wanted to say is I got censored like 4 or 5 times today, and I got a warning because they said that I don't have integrity on TikTok. Just for the record, I want to say that I do have integrity. I would suggest that TikTok does not have integrity for censoring my video, and I think it had to do with everything that I was talking about, right? So they're squeezing dissenters out, right? And that's why I'm suggesting doing like a fundraiser for creating a place where we are going to protect people and that kind of thing, and protect those voices who are telling us the truth, right? But as we're looking at them squeezing the dissenters out, like, is that a sign of fear, right? Is this the final act? And um, I really want folks to know that, like, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, I might be on something else soon because, like, TikTok has started to censor me, and I was considering that the most democratic, I thought, of these social media sites, right? Um, and I'm just left in a place of frustration after that happened with TikTok. But then I also recognize, like, oh, they're really scared. They're scared. They don't want people going in the direction of where I'm pointing them or thinking or whatever it is I said that they don't like or is in their algorithm to suppress and so forth. Like, they're another one that wants you to think that they're having free speech, but not really, right? So it's all a controlled narrative. But I do believe in magic, right? I do believe in magic, and I do believe that I will find the person that wants to help me, right? So if you're out there and you see what I see and you know that what I'm channeling is the truth, I just want you to like maybe consider like, I don't know, just picking up the movement of what I want to see happen. That's all. But it's all coming together, folks. And in the next 3 weeks, I think things are going to get really crazy. Um, there are some areas of the country, as you know from previous reports, that I don't suggest, but I understand some of you are kind of stuck and don't necessarily have a place to go and so forth, but maybe just, stay abreast of signs that, maybe try to come up with some plan just in case you can get out of Dodge. All right, folks, all the best to you. Have a good one. And stay smart, folks. Stay smart because there's a lot of folks out here that are embracing being dumb.